Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was amazing. Ooh, wow, thank you. Oh, I'm just going to kind of breathe that in. That's one of the things that we don't do enough of is when people say something nice about us, we need to breathe it in instead of be like Teflon. Oh, no, that's an old dress. Oh, no, not me. So that's one of the things that we're going to talk about today. But this is what I want to say first. She was talking about, how you met through New and how it all comes together. And I just love relationships. I just get so excited I can hardly contain myself. And the circuitous route that I went was I still have her, a former client, Angela Cox. And Angela was with Coca-Cola and also with Minute Maid. And so she introduced me to Nona. And I met Nona, and we just hit it off beautifully. And then Nona brought me in, and oh my gosh, it was absolutely phenomenal. I met some of the most incredible women who are sitting here. And the energy is just absolutely amazing. And I can tell you, I speak a lot. And the energy is not always palpable like it is in this forum. When I walked in, it was like, oh my gosh, when I walked into Nona's group, what did your mama say? Birds of a feather flock together. So y'all have got some phenomenal energy that's flocking together, and you can feel it in this room. So I am just tickled to be with y'all today. And so what's new? I was so impressed to hear that y'all came up with such a wonderful acronym, don't you think? New. So, it's all about you, and it's new because from what I understand, the South Chapter is now really beginning to get some traction. It's beginning to grow, and I have no doubt in my mind, not 1 second, that y'all are just not going to take off like wildfire because of the energy in this room, and energy begets energy. And the authenticity and the people that I have met and how y'all have just absolutely... there are Robin and Lindsay and keeping me on track. And oh yeah, we're going to do an agenda. Oh yeah, we're doing it. And I did my best to try to stay with it. I really did. So it's going to be all about you today. It's all about you. And it's a new day. So I know that there are a lot of you here that are going to want to go back and share with your friends that weren't able to make it as y'all grow new. And I just love new. There's so many things. I've been driving around for the last 2 weeks, especially thinking about y'all. Oh, a new you. What else rhymes with that? Well, a new, G and U. That won't work. So I've gone through all the news, coming up with the different aspects of it. So with that, this is what I would like for y'all to do. Now, I'm at a very great advantage point because I can see you all. I want everybody to take a deep breath. And I want you all to shut your eyes, and I can tell if your eyes are open. So everyone, if you would just shut your eyes. And I want you to just imagine. I want you to imagine that you are doing exactly what you want to do. That you are in the perfect career. That your life is just absolutely fluid. You get up in the morning, you take a breath, you're just so happy, you're flowing, you're going, you're connecting with people. Now, as you're imagining that, think about that. What are you doing? What are you doing? What does it look like? Where are you? What are you wearing? Who are you talking to? Where's your office? What is your boss like? Wow. Take another deep breath and come back. And some of you were smiling, and some of you were like, no. But this is what we don't take the time to do. And this is what we know from neuroscience. I love neuroscience. You know, when I started as an avid learner in all aspects that later, you know, came down the pike to support me, I used to carry neuroscience kind of information because it wasn't a science yet. It was esoteric. It was like really out there. So I had to carry this kind of information around in a brown envelope. But now it's like out in the open. And what we know neurologically, what we know is that when you imagine, we know that the brain cannot tell the difference from what you are imagining versus what is reality. Did you know that? You didn't know that. I want you to write that down so you don't forget that. So that is why, and I won't go off on the subject of our children watching people shoot each other, but I'll stay on track. But we cannot tell, the brain cannot tell the difference between what is imagined and what is reality. Now, you would say to yourself, oh my goodness, well, if that's the case, and I was to imagine, then gosh knows what could happen in my life, right? But the thing is we don't slow down enough to imagine, to really kind of take that in and see and feel what it is that really calls to us. So I want you to ask yourself, what keeps me from living the life that I say that I want? I had a yoga teacher, an instructor, years and years and years ago, and one of the things I learned from Lex was he would say, do you want it? Or do you just want it? Because if you really wanted it, you'd have it. And I went, ooh, didn't like that at all. Because then I had another, I like you, I'm glad you came. What is your name in the lovely cobalt shirt?
Carla.
Carla? Yes. Lovely name. Thank you for coming, Carla. So are we wanting, or are we just wanting to want? Because what happens is when we only want to want, we're not doing what it is that needs to be done in order to have what we say that we want. What we tend to do is we focus on what we don't want. How many times have you said, oh, well, I don't want to do that, and somebody, oh, no, but I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. And self-awareness. Leaders are very, very self-aware. What I found out many years ago, I had a therapist, and I thought everybody had on their shoulder this little voice, and I call mine Howard. Okay? And Howard is always telling me, Cecilia, did you just see what you did? Oh, man, yeah. Well, don't do it again. Okay. And then Howard would say, did you notice how your hand's like pulling? All right already. So I was telling my therapist this, and she's like, so glad you came to see me. And I said, well, doesn't everybody have a Howard? She said, no, I don't think so. Not everybody has a Howard. But let me tell you what I found out later, because I'm a voracious reader. I found out you all do have Howards. But this is what it's called in psychology. It's called the observer. But when we're not self-aware, we don't hear our observer. We don't hear what our observer is trying to tell us. Usually by the time you get the observer information, that's when you're walking away from a situation going, God, I wish I would have said that. Man, why didn't I say that? I should have said that. And I would be so brilliant if I could say it again right now. That is like in television, you know, where they have that delay timer on the radio, the delay. So by the time you get the information, it's kind of hard to go back and say, oh, let me tell you, I'd like to be brilliant with you right now. So, but if you begin to listen to your Howard, your observer, and you can call him whatever you want. Mine came out of Howard Cosell, because you know how, well, some of you may not know who Howard Cosell is. I'm so sorry. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Howard Cosell, many moons ago, was a football person. You can tell how much I watched it. He would be on the television when I would be flipping stations, and he would say, oh, he just ran a pass. Oh, he just knocked him over. Oh, they're carrying him off the field. He would do a play-by-play. What do you call that, play-by-play? Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, that was tricky. So he would do a play-by-play commentary, and so that's what my Howard does. Now, sometimes I have to tell Howard, get a rest, okay? But become self-aware of how you come across, how you're connecting with people, what you're saying to people. And then the other thing is, we're impatient. In fact, I was talking to someone a few minutes ago before we started, and one of the things that I've learned over the years is that there is greatness in patience. My clients, I work with senior level clients who are moving in, up, or out of a company. Either they want to move into a new position, they want to move up in the company that they're already in, or they want to move out. And lately I've had a lot of want to move out. But anyway, so what happens with them is they get really, really impatient, because when you are an A personality, you're ready to get out there, make it happen, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, instead of realizing that things need to cook sometimes, don't they? But we don't want them to cook. So has anybody in this room ever done something that you said, if I would have only been patient? Thank you. You just got 50,000 points. That was excellent. Well, I can give you a fabulous example of me. In fact, I was just sharing with Robin. It's a very sad story. About a week and a half ago, I kept getting all these duplicates in my computer, and I had just really about had it. And then what I noticed is when I would delete the files, that they would start repopulating in front of my eyes. And it's like, do I have a poltergeist? Is it just running around getting all my files and bringing them back every time I delete them? So I was so frustrated. So finally I go to my computer guy's place, and I walk in, and TJ's not there, but Lord is. What an appropriate name that day. And I said, Lord, 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 I need help. I said, my computer has got a poltergeist. It's like the coat hangers in my closet. It just keeps multiplying them and multiplying them. And no matter how many I throw out, I get some more and I get some more. And so Lord looked at it, and he said, well, what the situation is a few years ago when your computer crashed, excuse me, he said that we set up two files. So we've got Cecilia over here, and then we've got Cecilia Rose over here. And he said, now, Cecilia Rose was in case anything happened here, you would always have Cecilia Rose. It's good to have yourself, right? So I said, that was all well and good, but if I haven't looked at these files in the last 4 or 5 years, I'm over it. Get rid of them now. And he said, are you sure? Yes. He said, well, TJ will be back. Well, TJ is my regular computer guy, as I just said a minute ago. So anyway, so I said, no, just get rid of the files. Do you have a backup? Yes. Do you have a backup? Yes. It was like when the cock crowed 3 times with Peter. Do you have a backup? Yes. Okay, they're going down. So he deletes them. He calls me back. He's shaking. He didn't know TJ had linked these two together. So when this one went down, everything went down. So I go in the next day, and I'm like, it's fine. It's okay. There's tomorrow. It's another day. And so TJ's talking to me, and he said, well, we do have your emails. And I said, well, that's nice. And so he goes over everything with me, and I'm saying, it's fine. We can work through this. We can do it. Okay. So the next day I call up TJ. What is going on? My God. He said, yesterday you were really calm. I said, yesterday I was in denial. Okay? I can't find anything today. He said, well, we recovered everything. And now I'm back again. I'm going, oh, we're cooking. We're moving. I'm happening. We got recovery. Oh, yeah. But they don't tell you what that means. Do you know what that means when they recover all your files? Let me tell you, there were all of my files on an external hard drive, and there they all were, and it said, recovered file 1, recovered file 2, recovered file 586, recovered file 8,042. There's no names for your files. You just have recovery on them, which you could go great trying to check those out. So I'm telling you, this is a really good thing to learn. And I will say, in a lot of respects, I am so much better than I've ever been, but impatience is something that, like I had a client call up recently, and she said, guess what? I'm leaving my company this week. Okay, that's code for they did a layoff, they did a clean out, something happened, okay? And I'm ready to just jump back in. I'm going to go do a consulting gig with my friend. And I got to get that on LinkedIn. Really? I mean, he hasn't even decompressed. And so consequently, what's going to happen, I told him. I was trying to disguise, and then him came out. So what I was saying is, you don't want to be putting all this information out there when a grenade just went off, and you haven't even collected all the pieces of yourself yet to look at this. You don't want to be doing that. Oh. I think it would be good that we don't tell everybody on LinkedIn until you know what you're doing. Otherwise, guess what? We don't show up in our power. We don't show up with clarity. So it's very important that we be patient. And also the negativity. You know, we tend to get sucked in. Does anybody know who Chicken Little was? Oh, good. I'm not the only one on that one. Okay. So Chicken Little was the one that was running around, yelling that the sky was falling in, and there came Turkey Lurkey and Foxy Loxy and Henny Penny, and all the friends were following right into this big black hole. Okay? Well, that's what we tend to do when we're with people sometimes that are telling us how negative things are. I went on Facebook the other day, and there was a friend of mine who had put in a note that she had been driving down the freeway of life and she had a flat tire. And she said this wonderful, gracious gentleman pulled over and changed the tire, and now my children know how to change a tire. And this one person responds and says, wow, that's not all they learned. They learned to be gracious, that there are really nice people out there, right? And then another person wrote back and said, well, not only that, but you learned that, there's always somebody there. And then this other person wrote back and said, you were really lucky he wasn't a serial killer. It could have turned out really bad. Does anybody know anybody like that? I mean, no matter what you say, they're going to take you down, okay, on Saturday Night Live, Downer Debbie. And before you know it, all of a sudden you're hurling yourself onto walls because you're so depressed. Oh my God, it could have been a serial killer. I didn't protect my children. Oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Negativity, it's not a good thing. And in fact, I'll tell you this. Does anybody know what a dendrite is? Okay, dendrites are in our brain. They're the ones that run those synapses back and forth and everything. And at the end of them, there are these little nodules. And what they found out when they were studying them in neuroscience is that every time you have a negative thought, it forms this little nodule on top of that nodule. And every time you do that, the nodule gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it begins to concretize. And if you were to look at a picture of somebody who was very, very depressed, clinically depressed, their brain, when they take a photograph of it, looks like black spaghetti with a black hole actually in it. However, we also know that every time you have a positive thought, that's why in university now they're teaching the class of positivity. They had no classes like that when I was in school. None. Zippity-doo-dah. But anyway, so the positivity, the same thing. A nodule forms, and it gets more and more, and then that positivity, that's optimistic. That's why optimists live longer. And then there's these little glial cells, and you have 48 hours to cancel that thought because it's like a little Hoover vacuum, and it comes out, and it sucks up if you had a negative thought so it doesn't form. But if you wait too long after 48 hours, you're toast. It's going to start concretizing. Yeah. Where else can you get news you can use? Okay? And then complacency. This is what I've seen about complacency. Complacency kills careers. Anybody familiar with that? You're sitting there just tossing wadded paper into a paper, one of those waste paper baskets. Yeah? Anybody ever do that? I don't play basketball, but I've seen people do it. So that's getting complacent, that's getting bored. But guess what? Most people, the energy it would take for them to get up and move and make plans to do something else is too much energy, so they stay where they are and they're miserable. And what does misery do? It loves company. Didn't your mama tell you that? Did your mama tell you that? Am I the only one that had a mother that told me that? Okay, good. Y'all are just a real verbal crowd. I must have a lot of internal processors in here. Y'all know what an internal processor is? You're inside your brain going, oh yeah, well that was really interesting. Oh, yeah. I'll wait until she's done and then I'll tell her that was really interesting. Okay. And then not being prepared. Has anybody ever had that happen? Like the voice knocked on your door and you hadn't been practicing. See, there you go. So you want to be prepared. So these are some basic things that we want to look at, because this is usually what happens if somebody says we got to do something different. We go into what? Fear mode. And oh my God, don't make me get up. Don't make me get out of my comfort zone. Please, 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 anything but that. No. So I want you to ask yourself, what keeps you from living the life? Oh, and I wanted to make sure I said that twice. You can never say it too many times. So did everybody get those? Any questions on any of those? You trying to contain your joy over there? Oh, I see what I'm doing. I need to go forward. So has anybody ever missed an opportunity? I'm the only one? Thank God you came too. What is your name? Shayna. You get 50,000 points. And also, and what is your name? Michelle, you too, because y'all raised about the same time, okay? So I have missed opportunities. I have looked back and said, oh my gosh. Have you ever read about some of the celebrities, like I forget who it was that was offered Vivian Lee's acting for, you can tell, yeah, Scarlett O'Hara. My dendrites are not, Gone with the Wind. Oh, thank goodness you're here. Love those red glasses. Research shows that 78% of professionals do not achieve their career goals. Are you shocked? Not getting a shock. Not getting a shock? No shock. Shock, shock, shock. 78%. So why do you think that is? Okay, oh gosh. Okay, thank you. So, at the street of opportunity and risk, let me tell you what. When we talk about opportunity and risk, in every opportunity there's a risk. And every risk, guess what? There's a... Oh, that was excellent. That was really good. That was all in unison. Every choice has an element of risk. So, what if I fall in love and he doesn't love me back? That's a risk. Guess what? What if I cross the street and I get hit by a bus. Oh my gosh. You know, what if I go to a restaurant and get ptomaine poisoning? It's a risk. What we don't realize is life is a risk. Getting out of bed, risk. Excellent. 50,000 points. Have you been in a car ever and gotten hit? It's a risk out there, isn't it? I had a Luther's catering truck run me into the buffer thing on the side of the Beltway 8. Man, who knew? Who knew? And then he tried to get away. And my car is dragging its whole bumper and everything as I'm going, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Don't you get away. I'm going to get you. When he saw I was still following him, he finally stopped. But it's a risk out there. It is a risk. And it's the same. It's a risk, isn't it? Anybody ever used a knife? Oh, look at you. I think we should give her 100,000 points. Oh, that is fabulous. So the knife was tricky. That's why she doesn't cook. You and me, okay? I order out. So she's who knew we'd have such a great example? So what can a knife do? It can either cut us or it can cut a nice, big, hot loaf of bread from the bakery. Two different flavors, isn't it? Blood versus, a warm piece of bread. But it's all a risk, and it's how do we use the tools that we have? Because we do have the tools. So we're going to talk about the secret of success. First, you have to ask yourself some really hard questions when you're looking at what do you want to be when you grow up? What does it look like? What does it taste like? So the first question is, are you willing to improve your life? Or do you want, like what Lex said, do you want to want? But you're not willing to do anything. If you're not willing to, and I'm not even asking you to do it. I'm getting you to the second stage that says, are you willing? Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to improve your life? Are you willing to earn more money? Have you noticed that we have a lot of overachievers, under-earners? What's that about? So it's about utilizing and stepping out. Are you willing to help others? Because a lot of times we don't think that there's enough out there for everybody. So if I help you, maybe nobody will help me. Let me tell you what one of my guys said to me recently. He said, Cecilia, nobody helps me. Really? No, they don't help me. I said, have you thought about that every time that you're talking, you're telling them about how wonderful you are and how you got everything handled and that you're moving down the road? They don't see they're not hearing help. They're not hearing help because we're scared to ask for help. I remember when I learned this lesson, oh my gosh, I got reams of paper on my lessons. But when I was learning to ask for help, because in my family, if you asked for help, you know what it meant? Thank you. Obviously, you had the same mother. We were separated at birth. Okay, so it meant that you were weak. So I'm not going to ask for something and people, oh, that's Cecilia Rose. Weak. There was no way I was going to do that. But there's a part of us, I believe that we have a higher self. And that higher self said, let me help her out. So, during this particular time in my life, which thank God it was 25 years ago, the company I worked for, I went to work that day, and they said, we're really crazy about you, but we're shutting down this division. Oh. Well, that hadn't been a big plan of mine. So, I hit that. Then I went home that night and went to bed and woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning with a man's hand over my mouth and was attempted rape. And so I hadn't planned on sharing this with y'all, but it just kind of came up. So I am now chasing this man who is naked through my house saying, excuse me, what's this about? What's this about? As I'm chasing him down the street, And then I remembered my mother saying, you should not chase people down the street in your night clothes. So I think that's the only reason why I didn't catch him. I think I would have caught him otherwise because, I was on it. And the police said that that was probably the only thing that saved me, was that he wasn't expecting somebody to go after him, and I wasn't either. And then the next morning he had cut phone lines and radios and stuff like that. And then that, again, reality sets in. But the thing is, there's a higher self. Then the next thing that happened is I found out you don't cook fish for an hour. And it set the whole stove on fire, because I also learned you should stay in the kitchen if you're cooking the fish for an hour. And the whole stove was on fire, and the fire was going up the wall, and it was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so I then learned, don't put your area rugs on top of the stove to try and put the fire out. So I didn't realize I was actually building my own bonfire. And after about 3 of those rugs, as I was hopping around my kitchen saying, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was just a total, I can't even explain my demeanor. And then I had 5-alarm fire come. Those 5-alarm people, the fire engine people, pulled up, because I finally decided to call them, because up until that point, I am woman. I can put this fire out. But when the wall was getting ready to crumble, I thought it might be good to dial 911. And so then what happens is, after that, my sister comes, because I'm pretty burned, and she says, so when are you going to quit creating drama in your life? I'm thinking, where's the empathy here? Where's the sympathy? And that's when I got it. That is when I got it. It took, and there was more. My cat left. He said, I'm out of here, lady. I'm done with you. I'm over it. But this is what I got. This is what I learned. It took that much to break through my resistance in allowing people to help me. It took that much. So what I had done is I had created something so huge that I still didn't have to ask for help, because they saw I needed it, right? So then that was the day that I decided to learn to say, help, okay? And what I found out is that when we don't allow people to help us, we're being incredibly selfish. Does everybody know how good it feels when you can help somebody? Everybody had that? Endorphins go off. Thank you. Y'all each get 50,000 points back there. Everybody got 50,000 points on that. The oxytocin is going, oh yeah, help somebody. I'm feeling good. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And then they want to, oh no, you can't help me. I don't want you feeling good like I do. That's what you're saying. You're saying it's okay for me to dance and feel really good because I help you, but no, because it's not going to, no. So when we allow people to help us, guess what? We're allowing them to feel as good as we do. So be willing to do that. And are you willing to be open to opportunities? Because a lot of times we say we are, but we're not. Somebody comes up, oh, I got a great opportunity. Oh, well, I'm too tall for that. I'm too short for that. It's Monday. We come up with all of these reasons because that woman that was just screaming a minute ago, it brings up the fear. What if it doesn't work? What if I don't cross the street well? And then this question was asked to me a few years ago, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I still ponder this at times. Are you willing to be happier than your mother? Breathe that one in. Breathe that one in.